Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome. We are the Owatonna School Board. This is Monday, the 29th of June. It's 5:30. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Andrea is going to give us the update on our attendance.
Yes, it looks like we're all here minus Lowell, who we knew wouldn't be in attendance.
Alrighty. Let's start with the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up would be to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor with an aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Sarah, do we have any cards for public forum? We do not. We're going to move right on to item 5 tonight, which would be reports. We are digging into the 26-27 preliminary budget. I'll have Dr. Champa make some introductions.
All right, so we have with us tonight Sarah and Mark, and they are going to present. Actually, Ms. Brandt is going to be doing the preliminary budget, and they're going to tag team a bit tonight. So with that, welcome.
Hi. Before we dive into the budget, I just wanted to make a comment that we did dive deeper into more detail last week with the Finance Committee meeting. So tonight I'll just give some highlights and overviews on the summary page. But before I do that, I just want to mention we did add one page to our budget book. It's at the very front, and it lists out our general fund assumptions, so kind of the bigger items that we build into the budget. So it's there for anyone if they have questions or want to reference it as they're going through the budget book at any time throughout the year. So Sarah, if you want to flip to page, I think 6. Oh, I can do it myself. Thank you. Okay. So I'll start with the general fund budget with just shy of $85 million of revenue. Included in this summary revenue number, we do have the main component of our general education aid, which is based on average daily membership for a student body. We're projecting a decrease of just 11 ADMs from our 25-26 budget. This is slightly offset by an increase in the state set formula allowance of 2.69%. Also included in this revenue number is a decrease to the compensatory aid revenue of about $960,000. When we move to the expenditure line, that is about $85.6 million in the budget. That does include the budget savings adjustments that Dr. Champa and Mr. Stotts presented to you and the board approved in January. We also have all of the staff contracts settled for 26-27, so that's included in this lump sum expenditure number. Overall, that's a decrease in fund balance of $582,000, bringing our beginning of year fund balance from $13.6 million down to just over $13 million. Of that, just over $10 million is in the unassigned fund balance, which is 11.82% of our total expenditures. This is up just a little bit from what we projected and presented in the 25-26 budget. That unassigned fund balance was 11.37% or $9.7 million. So we are taking advantage of more of those restricted fund balances, which results in that increase to the unassigned fund balance. If we move to our food service fund, here we're showing a net change in fund balance of $122,000. This is one of those funds that we look for to be self-sustaining. So it's got a very healthy fund balance at the end of the year. Our community service fund balance, we are showing a projected deficit of about $922,000. However, when we get to the end of the year, we're still projecting a positive fund balance of $664,000, which again, that's one of those funds that we expect to be self-sustaining. So we'll do a little work on that as we go through 26-27 to align revenues and expenses. Our building construction fund, only has interest earnings budgeted in this budget, but we did budget for some final project completion expenditures, plus some anticipated expenditures for the OEC Roosevelt project. So we'll update that as we get to the revised budget and have more information and guidance forward on those projects. Our debt service fund is virtually break even. We just use that fund to take in levy and state aid to make principal and interest payments on our bonds. And then our health and dental self-insurance funds, we work on with our NIS insurance consultants. The Health Internal Service Fund just has a slight budgeted increase to fund balance based on the increased premiums that were presented at the last board meeting. And the Dental Internal Service Fund has a slight net decrease in fund balance. That premium stays the same from 25-26 to 26-27, and we have slightly more utilization in that fund. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions on the budget as it's presented or laid out in front of you.
Appreciated the cover sheet on the first page. That was a nice summary.
I agree.
Thanks for reading it.
Board, any questions?
No, like she said, I mean, we vetted it fairly extensively at our finance committee meeting.
Any thoughts from finance on this?
Well, just the obvious, that we lost $1 million in compensatory aid. Now, the good news is, Dr. Champa and her team have worked really hard
4 million, yeah.
to get us in a place where the impact isn't as severe as it might have been, but it's going to continue, it's going to continue to challenge our budget. So.
Well, and congratulations too, because the unassigned fund balance is still a healthy number.
Yep. All right.
Right.
And just to recap what you just said, and I can't help but point it out, that we would have been net positive had we not had the end of May
That's right.
Unexpected change to our compensatory.
Yep.
So had we had the whole timeless, you would have seen a positive
No.
there. And to Director Statt's credit, throughout our budget adjustment process, the conversation was always, it will be in a good place moving forward unless legislatively there are some changes. And that did in fact happen. So
Very good.
just
Well,
a huge shout out and thank you for your work.
yeah, excellent. And last chance, I mean, we're going to approve this here shortly, so any other questions that you might want clarity on, this is a good opportunity. All right, Sarah, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Item 6 tonight would be discussion items only. We're going to start with board forum. Jolene, if you don't mind, we'll start down on your end. Any committee meeting reports to bring to the board?
No, none at this time. We've got policy coming up at the end of July.
Lori?
No, the finance committee minutes are there in your packet.
Yeah, I guess same thing. Yeah, we talked about a lot of things at the finance committee, and they're all on our agenda, so a lot of information there.
Nothing. I have nothing for facilities.
I don't either for facilities. Good.
All right. And as part of this, the school board, the work session that we just had is also a part of that. And I don't know if anybody has any comments or questions that they'd like to lift up with that. Okay, hearing none, we're going to move on. The second section, item B, would be the administrative report, and we would take in the cadence of accountability from Dr. Champa.
All right, so you do not have the cadence of accountability because we've wrapped up the year. So as you look at the new strategic plan refresh, and we have the data for you to look at, that's at the upcoming work session, then we will have all of our leadership members rewriting those goals with a little different structure based on your feedback from your self-evaluation, and then you'll see that cadence start up again after the first of the year as we start the school year.
Good, thank you. Okay, item 7, which would be the consent agenda. We are going to approve the minutes from May 26th and June 1st, disbursement, personnel report. Any reason to pull anything out and vote on it separately? Okay, hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move that the board approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Andrea, if you will.
Sure. Jolene?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
And Elizabeth? Aye. And I am an aye also.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 8 tonight would be a couple of items that the board needs action on. Item A would be the casual worker pay schedule. I'm going to turn things back over to Dr. Champa. Didn't look like there were huge increases anywhere with that casual pay schedule.
No, so these are all in alignment to the Fair Labor Standards Act and the Affordable Care, so gets relooked at on a regular basis. And so that recommendation is before you for that.
Any questions? We'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move that the board approve the 2026-2027 casual worker pay schedule as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Did you have one more thing you wanted to add?
No.
Oh, okay, good. Any further discussion on this? All right, all in favor with an aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Item B, as we have just received the presentation, this is the 2026-2027 preliminary budget. Good presentation. Again, I thank you very much for that cover page. I really liked the quick summary of everything, the moving parts, if you will. Anything anybody wants to add? Finance, anything? Nothing? All right. Would one of you be kind enough to introduce this motion?
I move that the board approve the 2026-2027 preliminary budget as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item C would be our participation in the Minnesota School Board Association. We've been a longstanding member. It's approximately $12,000 for us to be members. Any questions, any thoughts on this?
I think it's well spent. think we
Yeah,
learned a
I
lot.
would agree, yeah.
Can't imagine operating without them, so.
Oh, and the training alone that we get is spectacular. Good. Would one of you be kind enough to introduce this motion?
I move that the board approve membership to the Minnesota School Board Association for the 2026-2027 school year.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Again, any further discussion? All in favor with an aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Item D, another, this is a lobbying committee that we are members of, school advocating for fair funding. Approximately half, I think it's $6,000 that.
It's about $7,000, and our recommendation on this one is that we not continue. And the rationale behind that is because as we are looking at every line item, this information, so there's a number of organizations out there, whether it's MREA, the Minnesota Rural Education Association, or SAF, Schools Advocating for Fair Funding, AMSD, all fantastic. However, the information is also through MSBA and MASA. And so as a consideration, we are recommending that we not continue with our SAF membership.
Got it. Got it. I skimmed right over that. Any questions? Any thoughts on this one? Was this what C was?
It is, yes. It used to be C.
I just have one question. I mean, I recall there were some transitions from C to this organization. Do you think this has become less effective since the transition? I know they've.
I would say, in my opinion, and Director Stats can chime in as well, but I would say the scope is rather narrow. So AMSD, the lobbying, is a little bit more widespread as far as the topics that they address. This is excellent organization. They're doing really good work. But at a time when we're looking at everything with a microscope, it does feel like an area that we can ensure that we get the information, continue to lobby for the things that are important to Owatonna without having this as a membership.
Probably redundant. I mean, a little bit. Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts? Comments? Would one of you please introduce this motion?
I move that the board not renew the membership to schools advocating for fair funding.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Again, any further discussion? All in favor with an aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Item E tonight would be the transportation contract. I'll turn things over to Dr. Champa for some explanation here.
And Director Stotts is taking the role of going over the contract.
Good evening, Chair Sebring, members of the school board. As you may recall, we entered into a 3-year contract with the option to extend it 2 additional years, and the first year of that contract was the 24-25 school year. With that came a new transportation schedule, the way we paid, And we got through that year. Our costs had went up significantly. And so the proposal for the second year, the rates for the second and third year were not set at the time the contract was entered into. So at that time, I proposed that we hold rates flat for the 25-26 year. And it would give us an opportunity to adjust the way we do business as a school district in response to that new contract. The bus company agreed to that, so our rates stayed exactly the same in 25-26 as they were in 24-25. At the request of the bus company, they suggested that we also negotiate the rates for the third year of the contract, which is the 26-27 year, and then the 2 subsequent years, so 3 additional years. After doing some negotiations, we came up with a compromise that I think is very fair to both parties. Neither one got exactly what they wanted. The first year, rates would go up 2.69%, which is equivalent to the amount of increase in our general education aid. The second year, 27-28, rates would increase 3%, and then the third year they would go up 4%. So with that, I'd be happy to try and answer any questions you might have. Initially, the bus company proposed a across-the-board 4% increase in each of those 3 years. So we were able to reach a point where I think we both got a little bit of what we wanted. So.
And remind me, with this contract, was there also a review of routes and adjustments as to what that looked like for some additional efficiencies?
The regular routes to and from school, they have stayed the same for years. I would even venture to say almost decades. There's approximately 30 routes to and from school to all our buildings. And so what we do with that is we annualize that amount, and then we just pay 1/12 every month. It's all the others that are really a challenge. So obviously we have athletics and other extracurricular activities. We have Phy-Ed classes that go different places. We have class field trips. And so I think over last year and this year, we've really been able to get the message out that we can't just go the way we used to. Because the way the contract was structured previously was that it was a flat rate for everything. So it was kind of Katie bar the door. If we wanted to take a trip, we took a trip. And so we've had to manage that, and I think we're getting to a good place with that.
You want to speak to the added layer that we have just put in place? So that is the transportation liaison.
Yep, so we have a new position, the transportation liaison, which will pay for itself because we have quite a few contracts with families that request transportation even though they live within the 1 mile limit for elementary or 2 mile for secondary. And so we're going to receive those fees now versus those going to the bus company. So that position started back on last week. And Jenna Ludwig is the person that's filling that position for us, and she's diving in and doing a really good job up to this point. So.
And it is to do exactly what you said, ensure that we have efficiencies and doing everything on our behalf.
All right. Any further questions for Director Stotts? Hearing none. All right. Would one of you happen to have this one queued up?
Sure. I move that the board approve the transportation contract with the Owatonna Bus Company as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Again, any further discussion? All in favor with an aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Director Stotts is going to stay here. Item F would be the long-term facilities maintenance.
Do you have that, Sarah, the summary?
Well, it's in the packet.
Okay. The 10-year plan should be in your packet. It looks like this, very fine print. This is a 10-year rolling plan, so we have an opportunity to adjust it every year. It really doesn't change a whole lot, but we may come with an amendment to it. So as you're aware, we're planning on doing a renovation at the OEC, Owatonna Education Center, as well as Roosevelt. And we would move the ALC to Roosevelt. Community Ed would go to the OEC along with our early childhood programs. And so if we do that, I'll be presenting to the Facilities Committee what the plan is and to the Finance Committee as to how we would pay for that. And we do have a rough plan kind of mapped out at this point. So then we would have to amend this if we issued additional LTFM bonds. There'd be no tax impact. Because as you know from the LTFM bonds that were issued last year, we just use a part of our annual revenue to pay those bonds. They do not get levied. Other than that, everything else is, pretty standard across the board. 10 years is a long way out to look. So we have more or less, I'll call them placeholders, so that we're able to complete projects and do our deferred maintenance work.
So Mark, like in our report that we had this week, Justin Lang at Lincoln was talking about some cabinet work, that sort of thing. Is that a good example of what LTFM dollars are?
Yep, so kind of a refresher on long-term facilities maintenance. It's for deferred maintenance projects like flooring, painting, cabinet work like we saw at Lincoln, HVAC projects, roofs, those types of things. And so this money is really used to keep our facilities current and address the deferred maintenance needs. Now, a lot was accomplished with the bonds that were issued in 2019 for the high school, but it's ongoing. When you have over 10 facilities like we do, there is always things that come up. It could be a sidewalk replacement and parking lot repairs, those types of things. So this is a really important source of revenue, and I think the district has done a really nice job keeping our facilities current and not letting things go beyond their useful lives. So I commend the board for that, for sure.
Any questions?
Just a quick comment. Seeing the year 2027 to 2036 feels very, very far away.
Yep. Very far away.
Yeah.
And like I said, the amounts that are listed there are more or less placeholders. We have individual projects that will be applied to those, but yeah.
All right. Andrea, as member of the facilities, would you introduce this motion?
Sure. I move that the board approve the long-term facilities maintenance plan for its facilities for 2027 through 2036.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Mark. That motion carries.
Thank you.
Item G would be the resolution relating to the school district's federal micro-purchase threshold. Dr. Champa, this one needs a little explanation.
It does, and luckily, we have Ms. Brandt here, ready to give the explanation on this one.
All right. So we have separate purchasing thresholds that we have to adhere to as a school district and a local government. The one you're most familiar with is our sealed bid threshold. There's another one that exists called the micro purchase threshold, and the dollar amounts for that micro purchase threshold are different if we're purchasing something with federal dollars versus if we're purchasing them with local or state funding. So this resolution just is an annual exception to align the federal threshold to increase it to the state threshold. So the current micro purchase threshold for federal funding is at $10,000, and the same threshold at the state level is set at $25,000. So it allows us a little bit more flexibility in our purchasing to align it to the state standard. It's not going to affect many of our federal programs because most of our federal grants are used to pay for staffing. Where it'll come in handy is in our food service fund, because all of those funds are considered federal. And it gives us a little more flexibility to work with vendors throughout the year as we go throughout that purchasing process. Did that explain it?
Made sense?
Well, could you give maybe a little more detailed example? So would it be something such as a kitchen needs new stove and refrigerator, or is it more purchasing foods, things like that?
Right. It's more along the lines of smaller food service needs. So if you think of like our napkins and utensils and trays, at the beginning of the year, we might anticipate that total cost would be $9,000. And as we go throughout the year, we might end up at $12,000, which under the federal micro purchase threshold, we'd have to go through the process of getting multiple quotes, retaining additional documentation. But if we have the exception to use the state micro purchase threshold, that increases to $25,000 and gives us that flexibility.
Yeah, and we discussed this also at Finance Committee, I think, fairly extensively. One question I do have, if you know, 10,000 seems rather low, and I'm wondering if you know when the last time the feds addressed that threshold, and have they changed it? In other words, is it quite outdated? Is that part of the challenge?
Yes, yeah, I don't think they've touched it for a while.
Yeah.
It may have recently increased to $15,000, but it's still shy of the state threshold.
Sure. And then keeping them aligned will just ensure that we're more compliant and we don't, stumble on that issue, so.
Good. Elizabeth, do you have this one?
I move that the board approve the resolution relating to the school district's federal micro purchase threshold as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Andrea, if you would.
Sure. Jolene?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Mark? And Elizabeth?
Aye.
And I am an aye also.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item H tonight would be gifts to the district. Dr. Champa, any thoughts?
Yes, so we have just, and when I say just, we're grateful, but it's a little bit different than during the regular school year. So we have temperature kiosks, which were donated to us, and then almost 3,000 from the Historical Society to attend the Capitol. So certainly grateful for those donations.
Terrific.
Questions?
Board, any questions?
I was just asking, what is a temperature kiosk, but
So a temperature kiosk, so I think a little bit of post-COVID, so it's where you walk up to it instead of what we typically have. So we're going to try them. They reached out and asked if we were interested, and of course, we can usually find.
So the nurses will use them primarily?
Yes,
or-
yes. Mhm. And a huge thank you to all of the work to get them, because it was a bit of a journey.
All right. We need a motion, if you would, please.
I move that the board approve the resolution for acceptance of gifts as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, Andrea, if you would.
Sure. Jolene?
Aye.
Lori?
aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
And Elizabeth?
Aye.
And I am an aye also.
That motion carries. Item 9 tonight would be to adjourn. I will make the motion that we adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor with an aye? Aye. Motion carries. Good meeting tonight. Thanks, folks.